So today's going to be a quick one. It's a belt for an X-Wing pilot. We're doing Curlian, so I resined up a few Corsac food capsules. If you're not doing Curlian, use dowels, paint them, prime them, paint them silver. That's it. It's super easy. You're going to need 2-inch webbing, roll pin buckle. These are the hardest part to find. I'll probably put a link in the doobly for you. It's an easy project, and it gets us one step closer to having our pilot done. So let's get into it. Since we're using 2-inch webbing, we're going to need to cut it in half for the part that actually holds the food capsules in. You need about 7.5 to 8 inches. I'm going to cut 8 now and deal with it later. Fold it in half just to make a nice straight cut. Nylon will fray, so hit it with a quick lighter just to seal the ends back together. Alright, now this we need to cut directly in half, the long way, right? Easiest way I found, just to fold it, give it a nice crease. Cut along the line. So now I could absolutely have 2 rolls. A roll of a 1-inch and a roll of 2-inch. Which would save me this step. But then I have to hold 2 rolls. And this isn't that bad. This only takes a couple of minutes. There. That's it. So the first thing we're going to do is sew the roll pin buckle onto the webbing. That way we can adjust our size, we can know exactly where it needs to be. Then bring you in so you can see how I'm doing that. Going a simple zigzag stitch, just folding the roll pin buckle over and stitching it in place. There's nothing special about this stitch. I want to keep, because some of these have letters on them, I want to keep that on the same side as the seam. That way, you know, it's not seen. I'm just going to run the edge of my foot against this buckle. Come on. I'm going to go back to a straight stitch. I'm going to go as far over as I can go. As close to the buckle as I can go. Come on. Buckle attached. Nice and secure. And that's what we're looking for. So the pilot in question is a 52-inch waist. So we want at least 56 inches for the belt. I like to give a little extra room just to be on the safe side. So this is where it needs to be. We're going to go probably right here. Again, we're just going to cut and melt everything down. So these things go together, up and then back down. Like that. We're done with this. We're going to put the webbing away for now. We might bring it back out to do an ejection harness real quick. Haven't quite decided on that one yet. Take my tape, set it up to be 52 inches, line it up. So that looks about right. I'm going to pin this, and just to make sure, I'm going to measure the whole thing again. I'm going to measure it from the inside in inches. And that puts us at 52. Within half an inch, close enough. So here is the front of the belt. Center it up as best we can. We want to put food capsule right about here. We're going to give a couple inches. Then we're going to give about the same amount on the other side. And that's about to be stitched, it's fine. Let's go exact on this one. We want to be 3 inches from the center of the buckle here. So I'm going to pin this one down. And then go 3 inches from this side. I can undo that pin. Right there. So we want them to be evenly spaced. Just so it looks good. You want to be centered too. Don't go too high, too low. Once we put our food capsules in, it's going to look pretty good. Now we sew. Alright, what we're going to do, we are going to stitch this first one in place. I'm going with the buckle side to get it out of the way. I want a zigzag stitch. It's the same stitch I use for my reinforcing stitch on the jumpsuits, which on my machine is a 4. The length is 0.4 and the width is 2 millimeters. So we're just going to go down and then back. I'm going to jump over and go to a single straight stitch right down the middle. And we're going to go down and back. Pull this. See where we're at. That's pretty alright. I tend to pin as I go, just to keep everything centered. So I'm just going to throw a pin in here. Now all of these have holes in them because we're going to stitch from the underside up just to hold it in place so they don't fall out. It's just easier. Speaking of easier, we're going to switch feet. Go back to my cording foot. And I have to figure out which side I want to stitch on. Yeah. Trying to hold everything in place, nice and in line. Set it down, flip the food capsule out, and then just stitch. There, and back. There's not going to be any real stress on these, so I'm not terribly worried about how reinforced the stitch is going to be. Because once we put this in, it will likely never come back out. There's no need for it, right? Let's go this side. I like this side a little better. I'm probably going to end up dry brushing a little more silver on it. My silver's a little patchy, but hey, it happens, right? So I want to stitch 1/2 inch over from here. Since we're on a cording foot, we can't really line it up as I normally would. But just grab a pen, pin. And then we're going to do the same thing we did here, over here. So we're just going to stitch. I tend to start down. We'll go backwards, forwards, backwards. And pull it. Put the next food capsule in. Undo this pin. Keep calling it a pen. Oh, what's wrong with me today? And then move on to the next one. Same as before. Now these want to twist, so I'm going out of my way to make sure I twist the other way, just even them out a bit. Then we just stitch and go back. The nice thing about this cording, it's got lines that you can just easily follow. So, that is it. You just keep doing that. Let's see, there's 9 more times. So that brings us to the last one, right? I want it to be about the same, which I believe is a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's almost half. We can make it pretty close to half. So I'm going to cut it. We're going to do a zigzag stitch. Might as well, since we're here, right? We're going to do the same zigzag stitch we did down here, which on my machine is a 4. Oh, after we switched the foot. So, that's it for this side. Do the same thing on the other side. It's not a difficult build, and there's nothing overtly complicated about it. It is what it is. Now that we have all of these attached, in a second, we are going to put the Velcro on. There's only one bit of Velcro. We don't put both sides on. There's no need. We're using the rough side of the Velcro, and it's just going to get stitched right on top. This is a 2-inch wide piece of Velcro. The wider the Velcro, the easier this is. I tend to put a little extra on this side because that's the side that's going to pull the most. We don't need the second part of the Velcro because this adheres to the webbing really good. And between it and the roll pin buckle, there's rarely a need for another piece of Velcro. course, now they said that it's not going to do it, right? Okay. So, next thing we're going to do, the whole thing is twisted, is stitch all of the buckles in place. It's just one thread up and down. It's all hand stitching. Let me show you that. So, with the Corsac symbols, I tend to take them so they face out. It's usually where I put the holes. Just, there we go. Through once, and then right back down. Legitimately, that is enough to hold these in place without worrying about it. And put a knot in it, and move on to the next one. Right? I'm going to do that 10 more times. So there's the belt. All done. Food capsules and everything. I got everything set up. Sure would be a shame to not just do the ejection harness at the same time. Well, the webbing's done. Let me show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. It's a little cold out here today. There we go. Alright. These are actually pretty easy to make. This particular individual is going to have a 35-inch. Wow. Leg loop. You want a bit of a gap, right? Because they're supposed to hang a little bit. Like for me, you'd want it like right about here. You don't want it to go past the knee, because as soon as it goes down to there, you start getting caught on it constantly. First piece we need to cut is the part that goes along the crotch, the inside. I tend to go 5 widths, so it would be 10 inches. That way I have a spot, a strap, space, strap, space, strap. So 10 inches. Like that. Ah, my lighter may be dead. That's complicated. Alright. Then the strap, which is in this case 35 inches. If I can get my tape to cooperate. I need 2 of these. And then you need the part that goes in the front. I tend to go from about the middle of my chest to the middle of my back. For me. So I do about the same for anybody else. So I'm looking at probably about 50 inches. So we'll go 60 for this guy because he's a bigger guy. We can go 30 and then fold it in half. My tape does not want to cooperate. It's a little chilly in my garage today. Alright, I'm going to take this inside, melt the ends, and then set up for sewing. So I'll see you in a second. It's take me a couple of minutes. First thing I tend to do is connect these together, right? I'm going to use a wide, aggressive zigzag stitch and just stitch it across once. And this is just so they don't get twisted while I'm working with them, because I have done that before. Almost this entire thing is done with a zigzag stitch. So let's start with the little piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch all the way around, and then I make an X. And I use a very tight zigzag stitch for that. Because it looks a little more like it could actually be used. So just like my reinforced stitch, I'm doing a 0.4 length and a 2.0 width. Those are in millimeters, by the way. Turn. All right. That's it. It just looks neat. It looks like it would actually do a thing. So, do the same thing 2 more times. I'm just gonna get rid of these extra threads real quick. So we're gonna line up, make my square, and then make my X. Now the wide one, I just find the middle, put it also in the middle, and then just stitch. Exactly the same as what we just did. So here they are. Ejection harness, belt. Easy builds that most people tend to just buy. There's no point. The nylon web, 2-inch nylon webbing, super inexpensive. Only takes a couple minutes. Entry level sewing skill. It's not difficult at all. The hardest part's probably the food capsules. And you take your time. It's not that difficult at all either. There's a lot of tolerance, a lot of play. I'm finding the roll buckles. They're a bit pricey. The buckles themselves aren't expensive. It's the shipping that kills you. So, it's easy. It's fun. Go do one. Yeah. Gets us one step closer to having the X-Wing pilot done. All that's left is, I believe, flag vest and chest box. We'll get to that at a later date. So like and subscribe so you can see that, and I'll see you next time.